Imagine a single pearl so powerful it could get you everything you ever wanted. And the power of this stone to grant all of your desires comes without lifting a finger. However, to acquire it, you must sell everything you own. Would you sell everything to purchase it? This is the pearl of great price, and Neville broke down this biblical metaphor for us in what I'd say is his most underrated lecture. The pearl of great price is a beautifully visual metaphor that explains the simple truth of what it takes to uncover your infinite potential and allow your wonderful human imagination to manifest all your inner visions. Neville believed that the Bible isn't religious dogma about historical events, but rather a psychological spiritual guide detailing the inner workings of human consciousness. And in there is one of the most powerful pointers known as the pearl of great price, mentioned in the Gospel of Matthew, where it's equated to the kingdom of heaven. Now, this isn't a kingdom in the traditional physical sense, not simply an ethereal place in the clouds behind pearly gates, but rather a state of being where everything begins to yield to the power of your imagination. But to attain this state, you must be ready to abandon all other beliefs and ideologies and sell all you have in a metaphorical sense to obtain this invaluable singular pearl. Neville said, "It takes everything you own to buy it." But this doesn't mean selling your home, your physical possessions, or stocks. It means relinquishing your long-held beliefs, superstitions, and dogmas, be it astrology, numerology, or any other external force one believes in. All these must be sacrificed. It's not that these things don't have any significance or power in the relative sense, but to get the pearl of great price, you have to sacrifice the belief that any of these things or anything else in the world has any power over you. If you invest any of your inner power in something external, it gains control over you to that exact extent. In this lecture, Neville quotes another passage, but this time from Luke. "When a strong man fully armed guards his own palace, his goods are in peace. But when one stronger than he assails him and overcomes him, he takes from him the armor in which he trusted and divides his spoil." The strong man fully armed guarding his palace symbolizes someone secure in their beliefs, with all these convictions acting as protective armor that maintains their current reality, their current matrix. As long as these beliefs remain unchallenged, the person's life or goods stays undisturbed. But when one stronger comes along, representing a new and more dominant belief or revelation, it challenges and displaces the previous convictions. As this new perspective is embraced and internalized, it strips away the old protective armor, signifying the dissolving of those old beliefs. And as this inner shift takes root, it reshapes the individual's external reality, with divides his spoil, symbolizing the new experiences and manifestations that arise from this new and more truthful perspective. Many, when they think of Christ, visualize a physical being or deity, but Neville shifts this perspective and points to Paul's letters to the Corinthians. He said, "Christ is the power and the wisdom of God," and emphasizes that Christ shouldn't be seen from a human viewpoint, that Christ is not just a man, but a power and wisdom that works through man. This divine force, this Christ, exists within each one of us as our own wonderful human imagination. The pearl of great price challenges our very identity as separate limited individuals and invites us to sell everything else and trust solely in the power of consciousness and the creative imagination. The pearl of great price tells us that we can't take anything over to the other side. And there can't be any guarantees on the great pearl, because otherwise it wouldn't be full faith, would it? It would be a belief in a power outside of yourself. It would be rooted in a fear that something outside of yourself has the power to disturb who or what you essentially are. So, the pearl of great price is a metaphor for the transformative power of our own imagination and belief, But what does it mean to possess this pearl, and how do we harness its power? The kingdom of heaven, as Neville said, is a state where everything bends to one's imaginative prowess. The story from Matthew illustrates this, portraying a merchant who sacrifices everything, all that he owns, to obtain a single pearl of unmatched value. This pearl represents the revelation and understanding of one's own imaginative power and beingness. But the pearl can only be bought when everything else has been given up and you trust only in yourself. He cites another passage from Luke. "He who is not with me is against me, and he who does not gather with me scatters." Which serves as a blunt reminder, those who aren't with the true understanding of their imaginative power are against it. Neutrality doesn't exist in this realm. You are either harnessing your power or you're letting it slip away with your belief in something else. The pearl of great price is an invitation to go in on all your deepest heart desires and let the universe trigger every single fear and every single limiting belief that any of these desires have any power over you. The pearl of great price is an invitation to give up every other desire, to be desireless, to want only freedom from every other belief that something else can come in and make you whole and complete. It's an invitation to recognize our own completeness, our own wholeness, and rest in the knowledge that we are the imaginative consciousness that forgot our true nature, and the responsibility for imagining something better is solely with us. When we sell all our other things, we may feel the temporary sadness of letting them go. We may feel the grief of the imaginary person who was running around in circles the whole time, trying to figure it out with the mind. But there's freedom that awaits on the other side. And the great cosmic joke is that it was you all along. You are the freedom and the happiness you were seeking the whole time. And the whole time was a dream in timelessness. Neville reminded us that none of what we speak about here has to rely on belief only. He proposes a theory, a proposition, and then invites us to test that theory. Tells us of the evidence, of stories of those who sold everything to buy the pearl and the manifestations that appeared for them soon after. But we're invited to test it for ourselves, to see if it's true for us in our own direct experience. Ultimately, the pearl of great price represents something so familiar, so intimate, and so close, most of us spend our whole lives overlooking it. The pearl represents you, your beingness, and your imaginative power. If we could just be the infinite beingness we truly are, we would have the pearl. So, if the pearl is our beingness, and our beingness is this great potential just waiting to be discovered, why don't most of us feel it and experience it most of the time? The great sages and masters highlight that it's our limiting thoughts and feelings covering up our already innate potential. That if we could just see through these thoughts and feelings, if we could release them, we would expose more and more of the power of now and the power of who or what we truly are. These thoughts and feelings often take the form of attachments, patterns of fear and frustration that come from old stuck emotions or traumas. So, how do we release these old attachments to reveal more of who we truly are? Click here to watch my video on how to emotionally detach from people and situations and watch reality shift around you. See you there. Peace.